Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is another interlude. By now, you've probably come to expect these in place of our regular streamed shows. You look up above my head here, and as you saw in the intro there, it is Interlude 3 with Vorn, Sibling Rival. And of course, I am joined here by the one and only Ricky. We are going to, in just a few moments, we are going to dive into this one-on-one session, learning some more about Vorn, probably more than we've ever even glimpsed into Vorn's backstory and where Vorn comes from and who he is. So I'm really excited to get into this, just like with all the other interludes. As we mentioned before, with the other interludes, these are pre-recorded, but I am almost positive that at the moment I say here we are in chat, we're probably all chatting to confirm that we are here in the chat when this airs. Because these are pre-recorded, we do not have domain tomes active, but we are keeping a running total. If while you're watching this you want to donate or subscribe or any of the usual things that earn the players domain tomes, we are keeping track of that. When we return in the new year, those will all be awarded to the players. This, as I said, is going to be our third interlude. This will be followed next week by Interlude 4, which will feature Doc and Gary. And our final interlude, taking place on Monday, January 3rd, will be with Dwight and featuring Mizya. And then we will be returning on January 10th with episode 28 of Scribes and Scrolls, the Candlekeep Mysteries, the full campaign. So you want to be sure to tune in for that. I do want to take a moment just to point down below me in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. Check out our channel sponsors, Talon and Claw and Run Right Play. Their information will show up in the chat throughout the stream. Be sure to check them out. Some incredible people in our community who are doing wonderful things. Speaking of incredible people, I want to talk about you, the audience, for just a moment and remind you that you matter. Your presence on this earth makes a difference whether or not you believe it. It can be difficult sometimes. Sometimes you might find yourself struggling. I know I do. I've often talked about my struggles with anxiety and depression. And the best thing I ever did was to get help. But sometimes we don't know what to do. We don't know where to turn or how do you get that help? Well, to try to make that a little bit easier for you, we have made a thing where you can simply type !help in our chat, and you will see a URL for findahelpline.com show up. Go to that website, bookmark it, save it for yourself, save it for a friend. Findahelpline.com requires only that you put where in the world you are located, and some incredible resources will pop up based on your location for mental health services and all kinds of services where you might need help, ranging just everything. Just check it out. Head over there, bookmark it, and just remember it's there, because while it is okay to not be okay, we want you to get the help that you need if you do need it, because we care about you. All right. I think it's time for us to play some Dungeons and Dragons. Are you ready for this, Ricky?
I am ready to go.
All right, here we go.
Ready to go.
We open on the early morning light, gray from the last lingering vestiges of night, and the low hanging cloud cover obscuring any rising sun. Everything bears that ambient, almost illumination that the snow on the ground provides. we see a foot clad in leather footwear with warm wrappings going up the legs, up the calves. Carefully, almost inaudibly, step into the snow with a barely perceptible crunching sound, followed by another footstep as the other foot falls. We move with these feet, moving almost silently, passing by the animal hide tents and temporary wooden structures that have been set up in this area. We're too close to really get a good look at anything other than these feet stalking through this encampment. A dog barks. 2 or 3 quick barks and the feet stop. When the dog is silent, the feet move again. They step inside a wooden structure. They open the door just wide enough to step inside. We see as the feet pass into shadow. A fire, flames very low, burns in the center of this room, casting a faint orangish glow. This individual walking across the dirt floor now makes no sound at all. And the footsteps blend with the shadows in this room. As they move across to the far side, where an animal hide hangs in a doorway. Vorn, I would like you to make me a perception check. I want you to roll a d20, and you're actually going to, it's going to be a straight up roll.
$18.
Vorn, we see you lying in your bedroom, furs around you. Your eyes are open or closed. You'll tell us in a moment. As though these feet out in this other room have barely made a sound. Young 8-year-old Vorn, or excuse me, not 8-year-old, sorry. Young 13-year-old Vorn has heard somebody approaching. Vorn, describe what this room that you are in this structure looks like, and tell us a little bit about what you see and what you're thinking as you become aware that somebody is just outside your room.
The room itself is it's not quite a square. It's almost like a square with rounded edges to it. And the bed is towards the center of the room as to be away from the walls during the cold air. And there is a very, very small candle that is on a small table across the room. And it's a storeroom. It's very, all there is a rug that's made of hide on the ground. There's a blanket that's simple, that's made of hide. And then there is a small chest with where I keep my gear, my weapons, and my journals. And then along the walls of the room are various polished and cleaned skulls of animals and different things and vermin that I've hunted over the years. And they're kind of placed throughout. And, there's an elk head somewhere in the room as well. And then there's a small square where the moonlight can come in. And as I lay there, I hear that silence of a winter night that's just silent, but has a presence about it. And it's less of hearing someone, it's more of feeling a change in that atmosphere as someone enters into their room. That stillness of a winter night is broken. That cool calm of a winter night is shifted just a little bit, and it's barely audible.
As you sense this presence and this shift in the atmosphere, what do you do to prepare,
Um,
if anything?
yeah. So we always have a well, I was always taught to have a weapon within arm's reach. So there is a small cleaver that is on the left side of my bedpost that I can reach with my handle. My hand gently moves as if I'm shifting in my sleep down towards that handle. I feel the familiar curve of that handle and I grip it. But the blade is facing in the opposite direction. So if the blade is here, I'm holding it almost upside down as I grip it towards the side of my bed. I can feel it.
You sense, because of that 18 perception, you sense that shift in atmosphere. And you can just hear the ever so faint breath of somebody slightly exhaling and inhaling. The wind shifts the animal hide that hangs in front of your doorway. And you catch a glimpse of a tall humanoid shape moving quickly towards your bed.
Vorn, typically I would count, I know the pacing between the entrance of my room to my bed. I know the pacing between the entrance of the place I'm sleeping and my room. As this figure moves, the pacing is a lot faster than what I think it is, or what I typically can count. I grab the handle of the cleaver and I am preparing to strike as whatever it is begins to strike at the same time.
Make a d20 roll and add 1 to that roll.
It's going to be an 11.
When you make this motion, do you sit up? Do you stand up? How do you move your body in the bed in relation to the form coming towards you?
I will brace as I grab the cleaver with a firmer grip. I place one hand on the ground. My left knee, that's adjacent to my left hand grabbing the cleaver, is going to come up, and my right leg is going to straighten out, and I'm going to kick myself up. So as I flip myself onto the ground, I'm standing on my 2 feet.
As you do so,
And I'm sorry, I am doing it to be on the opposite side of the bed, to put the bed in between myself and whatever's coming towards me.
perfect. As you do so, you essentially are moving yourself into by putting the bed between you and this individual. You're putting yourself in a defensive position, but with intent.
Correct.
And you brace yourself as for a moment you almost think there's a second person, as the person is now completely opposite you on this bed. You sense a movement to your right from their left as something comes out And glancing off to the side, before you can even bring the cleaver up in defense, you feel the almost hot edge of metal, mere millimeters from your neck. And in answer, you see from the person standing across from you on the bed, you see, for almost like the embers in the fire in the other room, you see 2 pinpoints of red suddenly as red eyes are staring at you. And you realize that your mother, Vorushka, is standing across from you. And that hot metal against your neck that you feel is her blood axe. And then you hear, "That was very close, Vornuk. I was surprised you even heard me coming. But still, if I wanted it, I would have your head."
And I take the cleaver and I kind of like flip it around, and I shoulders kind of slump. What is it, mother? Like 2, 3, 4 hours before sunrise?
The sun is already rising over the horizon. You forget that in the winter, the light doesn't come as early or as bright. She holds out her hand, and you see a sudden flare in the light in her eyes, and that candle that you keep on the side of your bed suddenly, and the light flares brighter. And you see her standing there. You see her dressed in her armor, which is just mostly leather, but she has iron bracers, and she wears a rough-looking iron or steel rather chest plate and breastplate that has quite a few dings and marks. And with the light flaring up, you see the splatters of blood that are still glistening across the breastplate. Your mother has just returned from an overnight raiding party.
Yeah, and there is a presence of slight intimidation with a undercurrent of, I think she loves me, but her presence, and she stands 2, 3 feet taller than I do at this height, and I put my shoulders back. So, where at? Not on father's lands, I hope.
The Bear Clan tribes continue to give us trouble. I have done these many years the best that I can to honor Joris's wishes. But if they keep pushing against our lands, we will not be able to honor that truce. We lost no one. They lost a couple of arms. maybe a leg. But they kept their lives.
And did you bring your four? And I imagine your four husbands went with you as well. And how did they fare?
Everybody came back. Vornuk, you do not need to worry about the Bear Clans this day. What you do know what you need to worry about this day. You haven't forgotten that today is your 13th name day.
No, I haven't forgotten. I was hoping we can just let it pass.
As you say that, she gives a sort of a snort of derision, humor, you're not sure. Because you know, Vorn, that on your 13th name day, that you, as a member of this tribe, and particularly as Varishka's son, you must go on your Shodanvak. At 13, you are expected to go into the wilderness for 10 days and survive on your own, taking nothing with you but the clothing on your back. And you've known that this day, before the sun has fallen, that you will embark on the Shodanvak.
Mother, I am prepared for this Shodan Vak. And I see how it's necessary. I stand up. I and I sleep in a basic it's winter, but the shirt I sleep in is just no sleeves, and I disrobe it, and I go and I begin to gather the clothes that I'm going to wear um quietly in the other corner of the room as I open the chest and begin to sort through the things that I've prepared for this rite of passage. And as I look over my shoulder, and I'm careful not to make eye contact, as to maintain just the presence that she has. And how do your four husbands feel about this? That a half orc is getting the rite of passage.
You know that in my presence nobody says anything about your heritage. You are my son. When you return in a 10-day from Shodanvak victorious, as I know you will, there will be no question. But I am also not a fool, Vornuk. I know that they say things when I am not around. I know that the other children have always taunted you. I hear them calling you Little Tusk and half-breed. This is
Yeah.
your first lesson I will give you, Vornuk. You do not need to trouble yourself with what other people think about you. You need to only trouble yourself with how you feel about yourself. You are the son of Orishka. You will one day inherit the blood axe and rule this tribe. You will do so with the confidence as my son.
You know, seems like my little sister wants it more. And he's saying this as he pulls on his boots and trying to make a little light of the situation. And he's bare chested right now, and he pulls out his um, heavily woven tunic that he plans to wear that has a hood on it, and an attempt to bring some brevity or some lightness to the situation. This is okay, right, Ma? If I wear a shirt?
You will want to have the warmth of your cloak, for certain. Until you can make a fire, that is all that is going to stand between you and frostbite.
And Vorn secretly knows that he's also woven in an extra meter or so of fabric into this cloak so he can turn it into a tent. But it's kind of folded within itself, so it's not obvious.
The elders and the others will be gathering at the great fire in the center of town. You will be there soon. I will see you there. She walks towards the doorway. She stops. She takes a couple steps towards you. Vornuk. Before you go, I want you to know that I love you. And if you tell anybody that I said that, I will deny it and cut off your ears. And then she kind of smiles a little bit.
Yeah.
I will see you in the center of town. And she turns and she walks through that doorway, pushing the deer hide aside. Make another perception check real quick.
Yeah. And as she's leaving and walking away, wow, I'm throwing all my high numbers right now. That's 19.
Oh. As your mother left, you're still you've got that little bit of adrenaline from when she snuck into your room.
Mm-hmm.
You notice that the air pressure shifted again, but it was slightly different. As you sense a smaller presence has used your mother's departure. As she pushed through the deer hide, another smaller figure slipped through on the other side of the deer hide, and is trying to hide in the shadows of the corner of the room. But you can plainly see your little sister standing there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And as our mother walks out of the room, there's a heaviness that returns to her steps. And I am baffled as to how, at one moment, she seems weightless. And then another moment, the full density of that orc is in each footsteps. It's almost as if like your dad walking down the stairs as she exits the room, and slips in the little sister. And I play dumb, and I kind of glance over and I'm like, huh, must be the wind, because I don't hear or sense anything in this in this room.
You hear a very subtle little giggle as she moves very quietly and sort of crawls, lifting a knee up and then her elbows up onto the bed. And she's trying to sneak across. You're fully aware of what she's doing.
Yeah.
She's trying to move towards you. And then, like a cat, she just springs at you.
Mm. And as she springs towards me, I catch her in midair and tousle her on the bed to where she bounces on it and then rolls over the other side. And I'm like, and I said to her in a very, in my most orcish voice I can manner, or muster, think you can get me, huh? Put them up. And I put the fist up, and there's a little bit of a big bro, little sis, play fight thing that we always do whenever she does this. And it comes from a lot of experience of her kicking me in the gonads or kicking me in the shins and taking all the advantages she can. Because at this point in time, I'm still 50 pounds heavier, 1 foot taller. But that won't be for another season because, yeah.
She lays there sprawled on the floor for a moment. And then she stands up slowly. And she stays sort of crouched low. And then she looks at you. She says, "You haven't even started your Shodanvak yet. You're no warrior." And she lunges at you. Make a dexterity check real quick. And I'm going to give you a +2 on this.
Okay. Ooh, that is a 7. Flat-footed.
As she comes at you, she actually feints to the right.
Mm-hmm.
You see this feint coming.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of move in the opposite direction. But what you didn't see was as she brings her other hand up and throws a handful of dirt from the floor into your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And you are momentarily blinded. Oh my gosh. That was a 19 she rolled to kick you in the nuts.
Of course she would.
And you feel the familiar sting as your little sister kicks you right in the nuts, putting every little bit of her full orc blood behind her.
Yeah, both of my feet go up at least 6 inches off the ground. As I realize too late, as she kicks me so directly in the gonads that the front part of her toes hits my taint, and it's actually it's her actual, like the front part of her foot that connects, and she just gets the whole unit, the whole bits, all of it's there, and my grapes were squashed. And there is that momentary delay of pain that hits when you get kicked as hard and as forcefully. And this is like being kicked in the gonads by Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. And so there's a moment of, oh my goodness, I've been kicked in the nuts. And then the room begins to go dizzy. It begins to spin. And I've got the wind knocked out of me. Like my organs have the wind knocked out of me. And I take one step back and I put one hand up in a fist. And I am looking away, and I'm trying to just stay on my feet right now.
And you just hear her. She's your little sister. She's like 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got all of that, like, just precocious, but also just scheming, conniving nature of any little sibling. And as you're down and in pain, she says, I just wanted to make sure that you didn't forget me while you're on your Shodan Vak. Mother says one day you will inherit the blood axe. And I will be standing right behind you in the shadows. And then she turns and runs out of the room.
Mm-hmm. I do that thing that all big brothers do where they're incapacitated, but they still want to show force and kind of like reach like impotently at her. I don't grab anything because she's long gone and I'm on one knee at this point. As she kind of like scampers away, you know? And I'm like, on your showdown, Vok, you know, I stop because she's my little sister.
We
Just
cut
punch
to
the ground, just kind of, ugh. And now I get the chance to take a few deep breaths. And good thing I didn't eat anything. My stomach's empty. It's the morning because I would vomit. That is kind of,
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
yeah. And sorry,
go ahead.
she kicked me in my pajama trousers, so that's even worse. I didn't get a chance to put on my gear yet.
With that, we're going to cut to a little bit later as Vorishka is standing near the center of town, and next to her stands Vorushka, your sister. There are the elders of the tribe are standing on either side of your mother and sister. Your mother's 4 husbands serving as her personal blood guard stand flanking all of them. The fire burns and the rest of the tribe stands in a almost in a full circle with a space around there, as at where the circle would join opposite your mother, your sister, and the elders, you stand alone, shifting slightly uncomfortably, occasionally adjusting yourself as you still feel the sting of your sister's foot, as everybody is staring at you. And your mother steps forward. She holds the blood axe in her hand, as she often does, wielding it as efficiently as she wields it as a weapon. She holds it almost as if it's a scepter or a staff. It's a thing that she just always has on her. And she holds it now in her hands as she steps forward and says, Vornuk, son of Orishka, on today, your 13th name day, you will step into the wilderness to begin your Shodan Vak, your trial, that if you succeed, will begin your training as a warrior of our tribe. You will have nothing with you but that which you take, that you wear now upon your back. None from the tribe will assist you. No one will come looking for you. We will wait for your arrival in 10 days' time. Vornuk, your Shodan Vak begins. With that, she holds the blood axe up into the air. And as she lowers it, the entirety of the tribe turns their back on you. And then you watch as the elders turn their back on you. Your little sister turns her back. Your mother's 4 husbands turn their backs. Then Vorishka looks one last time at you. You're not sure if it's the effect of the blood axe or the light reflecting from the fire, but you see her eyes flash red once more. She gives an almost imperceptible nod and an even more so almost imperceptible, just little bit of a corner of the mouth smile. And then she turns her back on you. And you turn and head into the wilderness.
I take a deep breath, looking at everyone in the tribe. And that winter silence returns, the way like a deep winter night is. It's definitely silent.
You know that for your Shodan Vak, you must travel throughout the day until the sun clears its apex and begins its descent towards the horizon for nightfall, to know that you are far enough away. Fortunately for you, the full winter winds and snows haven't hit yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's cold. You're bundled up, and you're able to head off into the wilderness. I would like... We're going to montage part of this.
Sure.
I would like you to make me a survival check. And the way we're going to do this is... you've got some hunting experience. You've got a little bit of basic fighting experience, both from being a member of the tribe and being your mother's son. I'm going to say that I'm going to give you a +1 in survival, and for at least the first day or so, for now, I'm going to have you roll with advantage.
Nice. Oh boy. Okay. That is a 17, natural 16.
Okay.
17.
That's perfect. What do you do to set up and establish your camp?
So after
Knowing that you do so successfully, that was well past what you needed to get.
Yeah. I go as Vorn has spent a little bit of time preparing for the Shodan Vuk, and he has surveyed better spots to establish camp. And so there's a river probably about 10 miles away from the orc encampment that Vorn goes to, and he uses it as a navigational point so he can tell the direction northeast and south and west, and then doesn't set up camp directly on the river, but at least maybe a quarter mile from the river so that he can hear it, knows where it's at, and always has a reference point for where his camp is. And the camp that he sets up, he uses the extra parts of his tunic to set up, to keep warm for now. If he needs to make a tent, he'll do that. And it's a small area that's just underneath a couple of downed trees that provide a little bit of coverage. And for the first 2 days, I have hunted small game, rabbits and squirrels, and I've done so by creating traps because I don't have any gear with me. And within the first day or two, I also um, found a nice rock along with a few sturdy sticks, and I began carving spears and a temporary hunting knife out of the rock that's sharper edged. Um, I've looked for some flint rock, something I can use to start a fire with, and I've set aside some wood for drying underneath this little small cove for a couple of days as well, so that I can have a fire going towards the evening, but a small fire, not enough to put out a large, noticeable presence at all. Um, and that's how I spent the first few days.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. I would say with that survival role, Vorn really paid attention when learning um, skills like flint knapping, which is breaking the rocks apart to create the sharp edges, hitting the right kind of rocks together in such a way that you can create basically like a almost like an axe blade or a knife out of these
mm,
rocks, and things like um, I would say even besides the flint, which makes things a lot easier, how to do things like bow drills,
mhm,
and things like that to create the fire you need. You worked smartly to utilize the landscape as your mother taught you. You know how to do some of the things you need to do if you have to full on start to build shelter and stuff. But as your mother taught you, use what's already there. And you find a place where a couple of trees have fallen, there's an rock outcropping. You figure out a place where you can kind of build your fire that's going to be sheltered from the wind and on three sides from any approach. You set some snares. You're able to catch a rabbit or two.
yeah.
There's some squirrels. Um,
And I'm also building a small, um, 1 foot by 1 foot basket, if you will, with twine and tree branches. And my intention is to, I know that during this time of the year, a particular species of fish swims upstream in the opposite direction of the river itself. And I'm just going to put that basket in a place with a rope tied to it to catch some fish, hopefully.
you, I'd like you to make me another survival roll, um, and this will be at advantage, and with the +2 as well.
Oh, that's going to be it's a 14, so that's going to be a 16.
Okay,
Man, I'm throwing out all of my big rolls.
get them out now. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens. So
yeah.
you approach. Uh, it's late morning on the third day, and you are approaching this stream where these fish run. You've got your basket, you've got some sticks, nice long sticks, and you know that you can actually. There's a way you can set up this sort of fish trap by using the sticks braced across the river, and the fish will basically swim right into your basket. You're thinking about this. You're thinking about just delicious fish and how good they are for survival, because you still have several days out here. And as you approach the river, you can hear the the sound, or rather the stream. It's more of a stream because of the time of year.
Mhm.
With a lot of the water upstream frozen, it doesn't come down with full force. In the summer, this is a decent river.
Mhm.
But now it's still running enough, and the fish will run through there, and you can hear the water running. You hear you've been attuned by now to the sounds of the birds and the critters chattering, and just the general sounds of this woods. But as you get close to the river, you hear the sound of the babbling water. But you notice that there's less activity from the birds and less activity from small animals. And with a 16, I would say that you kind of target it off to your right, which is upstream a little bit. And looking in that direction, you hear a splashing that's more than just the water tumbling over rocks and logs. There's something in the river. And from around this bend, you actually see water. And then suddenly you see a flash, probably, I would say at this point, maybe 20, 30 feet away from you. You see this sudden flash of brown, and then you just hear this as a bear comes lumbering through the water with a fish in its mouth.
Vorn immediately first is going to take one of my sharpened spears that's wood off of my back, and then I'm looking to see where the bear itself is looking, if the bear has noticed me.
As soon in the same moment that you pull one of these spears that you made, the bear stops in the river. It's still got this fish in its mouth, but you see its sort of shoulders sort of bristle as it stops, and it's staring at you as it stands in the river. It has seen you.
Mm.
At this point, it's about 30 feet away from you.
Yeah. Brown bear and full size adult bear.
It doesn't look to be like a fully grown adult bear. It is a brown bear, but it's smaller. It looks like it could be a juvenile.
Okay. The orc blood in me is screaming to fight. I can feel my muscles tense. I can feel my body temperature rise. I can feel my heart and my breath pick up. I can feel my grip roll on the spear. Take a deep breath. Easy now. If you want it, it's yours. Easy, calm. And as I maintain eye contact with the bear, I am still holding my spear because I'm not a fool. Easy. All yours if you want it.
Make a D20 roll, and this is going to be at a -1. You're making a charisma check.
Ooh, I threw a 6. That's the rolls I know. That's how I know how to play this.
The bear, as you're saying this, and you're standing there holding this spear, and you're just trying to talk this bear down, you see the bear's shoulders actually sort of relax a bit, and the bear throws back its head, and in one big bite just chomps down on this fish, takes another bite, and just swallows the rest of the fish.
Oh, there goes my dinner. You're good now.
The bear, you hear it just sort of, and then it kind of does that thing, you know. I'm always amazed watching like nature shows when animals are in like this fight to the death, and for a moment they seem to just be disinterested, you know, just kind of looking around. Right. And this bear does this for a moment, as it just sort of looks around, and then you just see this. It may be a juvenile bear, but it's still a bear.
It's still a bear.
And you just see this big bear paw just go into the water. and a good sized fish is just scooped out of the water and goes flying up across the distance between you and this bear and lands about 6-7 feet in front of you in the snow.
It plops, and for a moment, I am genuinely baffled as I watched it happen. Is that for me, Bear? Oh, okay.
The bear takes a
Easy.
couple steps backwards.
And I take one step forward, but very tentatively, like just one left foot
The bear,
forward, very
as you
slowly.
step forward, the bear kind of does a quick. You just see this sort of quick shuffle as it jumps out of the river and climbs up onto the bank into the snow. It gives a quick shake, shaking all the water off,
Mhm.
and it rises up.
Oh, okay. Is it make yourself big in front of it? Yeah, make yourself big in front of the bear. But wait a minute. They and Vorn like takes one more step forward very slowly, keeping eye contact with the bear. Easy now.
It's still up on its feet. It kind of takes a step forward and then back, but now its arms are sort of hanging low. It's just still standing on its hind legs, but it's kind of oh, oh.
Fine. And Vorn um puts his arms out as wide as he can. And he tries to get his little tusk to show.
Make another roll. And it's a -1.
Oh, that's a 6. So it's a 7 with a 6 with a -1.
You're not going to believe this. I rolled a 3.
Wow.
So what you see next is the bear drops down onto all fours and then sort of drops to its side, and it makes this sort of grunting sound that if you didn't know better, you would swear this bear is literally lying on the ground, rolling, laughing its ass off at you.
And Vorn, I immediately, I tried, and still holds his spear and takes 2 steps forward this time to where I'm about 3 feet away from that fish.
The bear,
and yeah, go ahead.
Kind of rolls back over onto its paws. It's still kind of low to the ground, but it's watching you, and it doesn't make any other moves as you get closer to the fish.
And a big counter instinctual thing, Vorn puts the spear down in the snow and then puts both hands up and walks very slowly to where he right in front of the fish, and as it's kind of like flopping, grabs it with both hands and
the bear, seeing you take the fish and bite into it, the bear stands back up on its 4 legs and suddenly turns and runs off into the woods.
Vorn, I pick up the fish and I take a few paces over to the trap. Is the trap still intact, or is that wrecked and ruined? The
Well, you
fish
didn't even
trap.
get a chance to put the trap in.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Um, yeah. I look around and I watch the bear run into the distance until I can't see it anymore. Um, put the spear. I go back and pick up the spear, and I decide to let's track this bear.
Okay. Go ahead and make me a survival check. I'm gonna let you do so at advantage. You have +2 on your survival. Because of the snow, you saw the direction the bear went, and it's leaving tracks in the snow.
Yeah, that's an 18.
Okay. All right. You begin tracking this bear, and for a little ways, you see where, as you're following its tracks, you see about another 100 feet or so where this bear had come into the river. You see that it had been kind of around the river. You see a lot of the markings of it being by the river. And you see very clearly where it had previously gone into the river. And as you see, you're tracking these bear tracks where it's taken off running. You notice that leading up to the spot where the bear, there's just a lot of trampled snow and kicked up debris, sticks and leaves and stuff. You see there's actually a set of humanoid footprints leading in that direction.
Oh boy.
And these bear tracks seem to be tracking along in the same direction that these humanoid footsteps came from. And it's a single set of humanoid
Yeah.
tracks.
How far am I away from my camp at this point? My own little setup.
I would say you're probably you probably would have set up
Yeah.
your camp within a quarter mile of the river.
Mhm.
So by this point, you're no more than a half mile from your own camp.
Okay. I look up in the sky, and what time of day do I see?
It's gray. Uh, you figure it's probably late morning to mid
Okay.
afternoon, or
Okay.
excuse me, mid afternoon to early, getting into the. We'll say like, somewhere between noon and 3.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah, so I mean it's just low. It's that kind
Yeah.
of winter day where
Yeah.
it's
Winter
just the
day.
same.
Yeah.
Once morning happens, it's the
Yeah.
same
Same
light
day.
until evening.
Yeah. Yeah. What the hell? Is this day 3.5? Okay. I'll bite. And I'm gonna follow these human tracks.
All right. No need to roll. You're able to do so, and you end up tracking these tracks for a good half hour or more, and they seem to more or less follow the river. And then you get to a place where there's a few more rock outcroppings, and as you approach these rock outcroppings where you see the humanoid footprints were coming from, and you see that the bear tracks are leading in this direction, you hear a voice. All you can hear is a voice, unless you'd have to kind of strain and try to listen to try to make out what they're saying.
Can I tell the direction it's coming from?
It's coming from where this rock outcropping is.
Okay. All right.
Picture like just a rise Think
Yeah.
like Pacific Northwest, or
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
or kind of near mountains but not in the mountains. A
Mhm.
few rocks that rise maybe 15, 20 feet up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's some smaller boulders that come down, and it seems to be, it has almost this echo, like it's coming in from the other side of this outcropping of rocks.
Mhm.
Do you stop and listen?
Yes, I'm gonna stop and try to listen and not make a sound myself.
Make a perception check.
That is a 12.
You hear the voice is kind of low. It sounds the voice sounds like it could be feminine. Like it's either a girl or a young boy. It's hard to tell. And you kind of pick out phrases. The full of what they're saying isn't reaching you, but you just hear, that was stupid. I'm trouble. Too many days. Should have kept the fish. I hope he doesn't kill me. I hope I don't have to kill him.
Okay. I walk towards the voice.
You do so stealthily.
Yes.
Okay, make a stealth check.
Attempting to be stealthily.
Make a stealth check, and I'll give you a +2 on that.
16.
I'll actually give you a +3 on that.
Ooh, 17.
And let's see. That's oh, okay. That extra +1 pushed
Yeah.
you just over, and you beat the perception check by 1.
Ooh.
You are able to make it up to this rock outcropping, and as you get up to it and you peer around, you see a small encampment. You see that there's this sort of not a full overhang, but a partial overhang of rocks. The whole area appears to have been cleared out. There's logs that have been, like, small, very very thin, but small deadfall logs that have been cut and placed near a fire. You see that there is, over the fire, that there is a cooking rack with some fish that is skewered on a stick and is more smoking than cooking over the fire. And you see that there is a girl that looks to be around your age. And you kind of see from behind as she finishes pulling on, she seems to be pulling on some kind of cloak, and she sits down on a log and is pulling on some leather boots. And as she's doing so, she's just continuing to mutter to herself. She does not know you're there.
I As I get close enough, well, first let me show the orc guns. then I walk towards her.
You're getting a glimpse of 13-year-old Ricky here trying to impress the ladies.
Yeah, a 13 can't help it. I kind of walk around the rock to face her in front, and kind of like catch her off guard. And I don't have the spear in my hand. I put it back on my bundle of spears behind me, and I oi, you there?
As you step out and speak, you see as she suddenly turns, and you hear 9 healths, and she reaches her hand out towards where the cut wood is, And then she just goes, ah, damn it. And you see that she's still another, like, 6 feet away from where there's an axe leaning that she was reaching for. And she realizes you got the drop on her and she can't get to this axe.
Easy. Hold on. My mother always says, keep a weapon within arm's reach at all times. But I'm not here for that. Were you the
What are
were
you
the
here
one down?
for? Who are you?
Were you the one?
Did you follow me?
You would wait. Yeah. Okay, my turn. Okay, yeah. You're the river. Hold on. Were you the bear at the river?
Are you thick, boy?
I mean,
In the head.
oh,
What makes you think I'm a bear? I'm a girl.
well, the tracks that I followed was all right. There's a bear tracks. Then there were human tracks, and typically, bear tracks don't turn to human tracks unless. Okay, I'm getting off on the wrong foot here. Let me start over. My name is Vornuk. I am, and your name is.
Oh, are you done talking? I just wanted to know if I didn't say anything, how long you would keep talking for.
Yeah, I tend to be a little overstated. Yeah.
You have this desperate aloofness about you, Vornuk. It's kind of cute. I'm just messing with you, Vorn. Vorn, you said? I'm just messing with you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ha ha ha. Yeah. Yeah. I got it.
My name is Isurla.
Isurla?
Isurla, and yes, it was me at the river. I'll be honest with you. You kind of scared me. I wasn't expecting anybody to be out there. Especially not... Well, don't take this the wrong way, but one of your kind. I don't mean that to be offensive. I'm really sorry if it comes across that way, but...
No. And I yeah, we tend to be a rough kind, don't we? A rough breed, huh?
But you're different than the others.
Sometimes 42.
You seem to be less orc than the others. Are you a runt?
Not quite. No, opposite of a runt.
What is the opposite of a runt? You are not.
Well,
you are not like a prized orc. I can tell that from looking at you.
Wow. Or rolls down his sleeves. Well, I'm a firstborn, and the firstborn is typically almost never a runt. Wait a minute. You're not as bare as you were.
Did you see me naked?
No.
Were you looking while I was changing?
Oh my god. No. No. I mean, like now you're not as much bare as you were.
You should try taking your foot out of your mouth before you try to speak. I'm just messing with you again.
You know, living in a yeah yeah that's I knew that.
Let's try this again.
Okay.
Hi, Vornuk. My name is Isurla.
Yes.
Isurla.
S-
I am the bear that you saw down by the river. Um, as I said, I was not expecting to see you. I was not expecting to see anyone. Um, so you caught me by surprise, and then I saw that you were just a boy.
Actually, I'm not quite a boy. I'm going through the rite of passage as a warrior.
A
So not
warrior. So, I'm sorry. No. Yes, you're a warrior. I can
not
tell
yet.
by your spears. Did did you
And
make those
yeah, yeah,
like this morning?
some of them. Why? That these are good spears. These aren't.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know
So yeah.
what you know what a really good spear is?
What's that?
And she turns, and leaning against the wall is an actual spear with an iron head.
Hmm.
This is a spear. And that's an axe. And she kind of pulls uh part of her furs aside,
Yeah, yeah.
and she shows the dagger at her waist. This is a dagger. Do your people not give you weapons when you go on a rite of passage?
Well, no, because as a warrior, as a warrior, we have to forge our own and make our own and use the land that we have. And in 4 days' time, what's today? 7 days' time, I will return with the full endowment of what a warrior has. Wait a minute. Are you going on a rite of passage too?
It's sort of like that. I just turned 13 a couple of days ago.
Hmm.
And have become I have come into my full shape-changing ability. It's traditional when the people of our tribe reach this age that they spend a 10-day in the wilderness becoming in tune with their animal nature. It's supposed to help us understand better the balance between people and beasts, whatever. I just wanted to get away. I thought while I was out here, I could get away from dealing with the orc tribes raiding us, but I come out into the wilderness to be alone for 10 days, and I run into a little orc boy.
You keep calling me little. Um, yeah, yeah. Sorry about those. I got nothing to do with those raids. Well, not directly. So what tribe? What tribe are you?
Wow. It's a good thing you're going to be a warrior and not an intellectual.
Hold
Um,
on.
the Bear Clan? I mean, hello,
Yeah,
bear.
yeah. I'm sorry. I don't get out of my camp much. I think gosh, I've never seen a haven't seen a human, much less spoken to a girl before. Yeah. Anyways,
Really, I had no idea.
hey, so nice to meet you. And I take off.
Wait,
And
and you're gone.
yeah,
Um,
footsteps running.
we we cut to later that night. Um, you're at your small encampment, and you managed to catch a single rabbit that day, and you've got it skinned, and you're cooking it up. And night
Skewer
has
rabbit here.
night has pretty much fallen. So mostly it's the glow from the fire as you're sitting there, and you're enjoying your rabbit, and just kind of thinking about this bear girl that you met earlier in the day, when suddenly there's just this thudding sound as about 5 feet in front of you, 6 fish land. Thunk. And they're all strung together on some twine. And stepping out of the shadows is Isurla. I felt bad about earlier and thought I'd bring you some fish. And then she kind of looks at you, and you make a perception check real quick.
Yeah.
This is a straight up roll.
Ooh, 19.
Okay. You see, as she steps forward, you see the fire sort of reflect off of her eyes, but in the way that they reflect off of animals' eyes at night. There's just this sort of extra, like, it's almost like her eyes catch the light and hold on to it for a moment. And she looks at you, is looking at your fire, and she just can't help but lick her lips. She goes, is that rabbit?
Yeah. Do you want a piece?
Trade you. Look. And she kind of comes forward, and she just, as you hold out some of this rabbit to her, she just takes this rabbit haunch, and she kind of tentatively, and she goes, thank you, and then just oh, I'm so damn tired of fish. And she just starts eating this. She goes, this rite of passage you're on, it seems to be all about making you try to survive in the wilderness to the best of your ability, using what you find, right?
Yeah, like I was thinking, yeah. So like,
well, you kind of found me. I mean, technically I found you, but then you found me. So that doesn't violate your rite of passage, right? That if I were to say get you fish and maybe loan you a spear, and you teach me how to make snares for the rabbits, and we could kind of help each other out here.
Yeah, I because if I have another rabbit, I'm going to throw up. Fish are, and I point over at the makeshift basket that is barely assembled, and I'm like, that's what I was going to try to use to catch fish.
She just looks over at it with a mouth. She's got this like rabbit haunch in her mouth, and she looks over at it, looks at you, and just sort of raises an eyebrow.
Yeah.
And then she just takes another bite, and she just goes, well, it's good luck for you that I came along then.
Yeah, and I begin to scarf. Well, I take one fish and I kind of put it over, skewer over one of my steaks and put it over the fire. They start scarfing the other. I'm like, how can you get tired of fish? They're so just delicious and fresh. But I look around and I don't see any orcs around here. I think that's a deal. And I hold out my paw, and I realize there's fish guts all over it. And hold on a sec. Yeah. Ursula, right?
Isurla. And you are Vornuk.
Shula. Sorry, these tusks, Let me...
I put it in the chat for you.
Okay.
And for those watching that can't see the chat or hear the pronunciation, it's Ysurla. Ysurla.
Ah, spectacular.
So we're going to sort of pan away. The camera draws away from this scene of these two children on the cusp of adulthood, on their individual rites of passage. And over the next several days, Vorn and Ysurla, Steven, I got the name wrong. Ysurla, the two of you work together. To you teach her how to make rabbit snares. She shows you how to trap fish. I imagine there's some scenes of you trying your best to catch the fish, and she's in bear form, and just every time you're like trying to get a hold of a fish, she just reaches in and swats a fish out, and
there's a moment where it's like, you're no fair because you're a bear. Duh.
So take narrative control for a minute, and what are some of the things that you and Ysurla do over these next several days as you basically rely on each other and develop this friendship together in the woods?
Yeah. I don't mention all the bear hides that are in my home. But I do talk about how often I feel trapped and unaccepted by the community of orcs, and how I prefer, looking into the stars and wondering what those are and where they come from and what the gods are thinking. I share stories about, like, my mother's great legacy, along with my father, Jarus the Lightbringer, and how they banished the Bane, and they combined their both mystic weapons together to destroy this great entity or evil or whatever. But somehow I think there's more to that story. I was a baby they hooked up during that time. She shares with me things about her tribe, about her powerful father, and their community, about how they treat the spring. And we kind of compare and contrast, like, hey, this is what we do in the wintertime, this is what we do in the spring, and who's the strongest in your tribe, and what happens next. And every now and then, there will be a lingering look that she'll catch me, as I'm, like, looking at her hair or something silly like that, and I'll glance away, like, oh, nothing's going on here. Or when I feel bold and brave enough, I'll hold the glance or the gaze for a moment in time and smile back, and then become very conscious of my tusk and kind of turn away. And and I secretly am trying to impress her by getting bigger, more bountiful rabbits, and things of that nature.
She also, as you said, she tells you about her powerful father and about their lands, and that she's surprised to learn that Joris the Lightbringer is your father, because the Bear Clan knows of Joris the Lightbringer because he's the steward of their lands, and had promised them their safety in where they were. But that the tribe's leaders now start to question that as the orcs have become more and more brazen, that they continue to raid, mostly taking livestock and injuring some of their people, but never fully outright doing a raid. But it's very clear that over this period of time, the two of you develop quite a friendship and become very comfortable around one another. And then we're going to kind of settle in on that last day. It's early in the morning, and well, let's say it's the night before. You know that the next day, at the break of dawn, you have to head back to your village, to your tribe.
Mhm.
I imagine the fire is burning, and the two of you are sitting there, and she just looks at you and says, "So you go back tomorrow, huh?"
I return tomorrow and will become inducted into the warrior class. Um,
Well, you'll start your training. You've got a long ways to go to be a warrior. And she kind of playfully punches one of your arms.
and and I kind of look at her and say, this is why I like you. I mean, not okay. Yeah.
It's okay, Vorn. And she kind of punches your arm again and then kind of leans into it with her shoulder. I kind of like you too. You're all right.
That's good. That's
But
good.
but tomorrow you'll
Yeah.
go back,
Um,
and in a couple days I'll go back to the Bear Clan.
yeah. I made I made something for you, and I kind of like behind like the like little pile of leaves I kind of uncover, and it's this little small stone rabbit that is horribly carved. It barely resembles a rabbit. Like if you really if I tell you it's a rabbit, then you would see it's a rabbit, but it's the equivalent of a 4-year-old with Play-Doh making a rabbit and saying, "Here, mom, you're a rabbit." But it's a stone, and hey, it's the best I can do with the tools out here. And
she takes it from you and she looks at it and she goes, "Turtle? Squirrel." And then she goes, "Oh, wait." And she turns it over.
Yeah.
And then she goes, "If I turn my head sideways and squint, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's a rabbit?"
Yeah. Something to that effect. Something to remember me by. Hey, I don't how to say this. I don't know how I hope our clans, tribes never clash. And if they do, I'll do everything I can. Um, yeah.
I hope our clans never clash too. And maybe one day things will be different, and well, maybe they'll be different.
Hey, weird. Any potential or way I could see you again? No, never mind. I'm sorry. Never mind. I yeah, I kind of
She
stand up from the
she kind of
fire.
and she kind of stands up at the same time and she goes, yeah, I I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, if you try to, I and she kind of looks around. She goes, I gotta go.
yeah, yeah. I should
And
be making my way back too.
she kind of holds on to the. She looks at the rabbit again, and she goes, "Thank you for the rabbit." And
Hey,
hey, if you keep working at it, I'm sure you'll actually have arms that look good when you have no sleeves.
Yeah. And you know, yeah, and eventually I'll get comfortable around talking to pretty girls like yourself. But anyway, yeah, I should get going. Hey, this was special to me, so thank you. It's
Oh,
no matter
don't
what, it's been good
don't
knowing.
go and ruin it by getting all weird.
I I'm weird by nature. Everyone thinks I'm you know this.
She goes, look, and she points up in the sky, and it's one of the rare nights that the clouds are clear. The moon hasn't risen fully yet. You can see all the stars. And uh, she points up at a constellation, a cluster of stars. You see that? That constellation is Milakovic, the goddess of the wilderness, the hunt. You said you like to look at the stars and wonder about them. All you have to do is look at the sky and see those stars,
Mhm.
and know that I'm also probably looking at those stars. I mean, I might not be. I don't know. I might be
Yeah.
sleeping or something, but there's a good chance I'll be looking. At some point, we will have. You know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah. Don't make it weird.
Just if you look at the stars,
Yeah.
just know that
Yeah.
I'm somewhere out there. Sorry,
Yeah.
I had to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's
And-
something. It's something. This little kid in our tribe named Fievel always says.
Yeah. 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 Does he sing when he says it? Does he? Is it
Oh,
in a
he's always
song?
humming something to himself.
Yeah.
Anyway, Vorn, I and just suddenly she kind of leans up on her tiptoes and she kisses you on the cheek and pushes away and just
Mhm.
disappears into the woods. As you stand there staring after her, the firelight reflecting in your eyes, we see the camera sort of zoom in, and we see the next day as Vorn, you walk back to the tribe. You
Yes.
return from the Shodanvak 10 days later.
Mhm.
As you come walking up to the village, you can already see and smell the fire in the center of town burning.
Mhm.
You can smell the meat that is cooking. And as you come over the hill and you're looking down, you see the settlement that is your tribe with all of the tents and some of the wooden structures and everything around. You see a small orcish figure on the edge of town, on the edge of this settlement, staring towards, and as soon as you come over the hill, she suddenly stands up. She turns and you hear your sister Vorishka call out, "He's here!" And as you come down the hill, you hear the doom 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 doom, the heavy drums that are beating as tribes members are flanking this entrance into the settlement, and around the fire, people are there's some 4 or 5 people that are playing drums, and there's sort of a higher tick 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 as there's gourds and there's bones that are being used as makeshift instruments, and just this do 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 do. And as you pass through the members of the tribe, people are holding gourds that have been that are used as like bowls or cups, and they're dipping their fingers in. And as you walk by, you feel as people touch your face and your arms, and you feel the smears of blood going across you until you reach the center, and by the fire there stands Vorishka, your mother, and your sister Vornushka stands next to her. And you approach, and Vornushka dips her small hand into the blood in the gourd and reaches up and just makes a trail of finger marks and blood across your hand. You stand before your mother. She places her entire hand into this gourd. She reaches out and puts her hand across your face and holds it there for a moment. And as she releases, you feel that sort of motherly touch as her fingers just linger for a moment. And then she goes down and she kind of holds your chin and kind of lifts it up and turns your head side to side. She turns you around, and the drums this whole time, and as she turns you around, dead silence. And then she says, Vornuk, son of Vorishka, has completed Sho Dandvak. And she thrusts the blood axe into the air. And all of a sudden, and it's a whirlwind of celebration. There's food, and you get your, dare I say, your first, probably not your first, but your first official drink of the homemade mead and ales, and there's a drink that's made from fermented yak's milk. All of this stuff is passed around, and it's, you are the person of honor during this. It's a blur. It's a whirlwind of activity.
Yeah. And when I take that first drink, it's like homemade Kentucky Appalachian moonshine mixed with Bailey's because it's yak milk. And as I take it, it scorches and burns from all the way down, all the way into my stomach. And when it hits my stomach, I hold it down, and then both arms extended, deep breath, like the predators yell.
And with that, there's this sort of the drums and your war cry sort of linger as the scene shifts to later inside your the structure that is the tribal leader's house, your own home. And you're sitting there. You've had some time to experience the thrill of intoxication, both from just everything happening, but also the fermented drinks, and you're kind of coming down off of that, and your orcish heritage is allowing you to endure that a little bit more, though you are still kind of young. And Vorishka comes in, and she takes a seat near the edge of the fire. I am very proud of you, Vornuk, and what you have accomplished. After today, you will begin training as a man. You will begin training with the warriors. Nothing will be easy from here on out. For the next 5 years, you will train, you will fight, until you are ready. And then, the time will come for the sun, Danvok, when you will become a true warrior. Now, I had to wait until you returned to give this to you. And she holds out a bundle. It's just basically an animal fur, probably a wolf pelt. Actually, I would say it's probably even smaller than that, like a fox pelt. But it's wrapped around something, and there's some twine holding it. This gift was left for you by Joris while you were gone.
Wait. My father?
While you were away on Sholdanvak, Joris came to see me. He had hoped to arrive before you left. And he could not stay to see you return. Well, he wanted you to have this. And she hands you the bundle. Opening up the bundle, you see, at first you're not really sure what you're looking at. Inside this animal fur, there seems to be a bit of leather. There's a pouch that has a little bit of, almost sounds like glass kind of clinking in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see these two perfectly round metallic pieces attached to the leather, and two pieces of glass reflecting the firelight. And you kind of realize that these are some kind of, like, almost like a mask, like you've seen tribal leaders during ceremonies wear, except it's made of leather, and these round pieces of glass go where the eyes are, and they form these sort of goggles.
Father wanted me to have these.
You said that they will help you. And she kind of starts to show you how you can turn the little metal rings and you can pull out pieces of the glass, and inside the pouch are different kinds of glass. He said that you will learn how to use these in time, but they will help you to see the world better. You put them on, and she goes, "You look like a damn fool. Just like your father." And you hear this sort of softness in her voice as she looks at you, and she kind of reaches out and sort of grabs your chin again and turns your head. No, you really do look a lot like your father.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
If it were a bad thing, I would have cleaved you with the blood axe long ago. And she laughs in a way that you know that she's joking, but maybe not all the way.
Right. Wow. These are
May they serve you well, whatever their purpose. As you pull the goggles back down over your eyes, and you kind of turn towards the fire, you see that with whatever these lenses are that's in it. You look around and the fire looks a little crisper, but you also see something else in the fire. You see almost like shapes in the fire, but you can't quite discern them. And we see the firelight reflecting in these lenses as the camera zooms in closer and closer. And then the camera starts to pull back. And as the camera pulls back from your face, we see the face of Vorn is older now. Sharp angles of musculature, thicker neck, broad shoulders, the sleeveless shirt, arms that look like well in a sleeveless shirt. And we hear a woman's voice again say, I still think you look like a damn fool in those things. And as we pull wider, we see that it is not your mother, but it is Isurla, now 18. And then she, in the same way your mother had previously done, but not in the same way. She doesn't take your chin, but she reaches out and kind of strokes your face and says, was there nothing you could do? And you can hear the tremble in her voice. Why? After all these years, why? Why are they coming after the Bear Clan?
It's because of the blood axe. It has twisted my mother and changed her. And it's given her a bloodlust. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do except for try to help you and those close to you escape. They ride it.
I will get whoever I can and help them to run. Get to safety, but my father will never leave.
I didn't expect him to.
You know what this means, Vorn? Either my father or your mother is going to die tonight at the hands of the other.
It seems to be unavoidable.
Where in the hell has Joris been all these years? Nobody's seen him for 4 years at least. He was supposed to be the steward of these lands. He was supposed to keep us protected.
4 years. I don't think I've seen him ever.
I know. I'm sorry.
But no, it's not about me. It's you and yours are facing. Okay. We're coming from the south. They're going to be. Do you have a safe passage?
Yes.
I want to escort you. It's not safe unless I escort you.
No, you need to get your Sandanvak. You need to be with your tribe, or they will hunt you down.
Listen.
They will hunt you down and they will kill you.
I can't kill people that love you and that you love. I can't participate in that.
They're going to hunt you down and they're going to kill you.
It's better than me killing you and killing yours.
You could.
I'm prepared to pay that price.
Will they wait? If you don't show up, will they wait or will they go on without you?
It's not just me. It's my sister. It's some of the children from my children. Jeez. Some of the other inductees. This is a full-on raid. They're bringing the whole horde. All of those who wish to become warriors, and the few of those who wish to become blood guard.
Her sister's not of age. How can she? It's the blood axe, isn't it?
She's tenacious. She's aggressive. She wants it more than ever. She wants to be our mother more than ever. She's 14, but man, if you saw her, she's 7 feet tall. Listen, none of that's important. We need to get moving right now. We're wasting precious moments. Listen. You show me the passage. I'll take you guys as far as I can. And I'll join the battle when I can.
I will go now. You can't come with me. If they see you, they will think it is a raid. They will kill you. Wait.
How will I know that you're safe, though?
Meet me at the north woods. If you're coming from the south, we will wait at the north woods. I will have everybody out by then.
Okay.
I will wait as long as I can, but I will alert my father and the others to be ready.
Do not wait past the noon hour. If I'm not there by a noon hour, please just go.
Vorn, be safe. And she puts her hand on your cheek again. And this time she leans in and she kisses you. I love you, Vorn.
And I love you.
And she reluctantly turns and she takes a moment, and you see as she quickly disrobes, and let's be honest here, this is not the first time you've seen her naked, as she kind of wraps everything in her cloak into a bundle, and then you see, as you've seen many times before, as she transforms into a much larger brown bear than that bear you met 5 years before. She looks back at you one last time and then grabs the bundle of her clothing in her jaws and takes off at a much faster speed than she could in her human form, heading off.
You said she wraps her things in a bundle. Does she take that bundle with her?
Yeah, she
Or
grabs it in her jaws.
okay.
And we're gonna jump ahead again just a little bit to later that night. The tribe is in a blood frenzy. Not just as a figure of speech, but this is what your tribe calls it. It is a blood frenzy.
Mm-hmm.
As animals have, predatory animals like wolves have been slain, and their blood is being poured over one another by the warriors. Varishka's 4 husbands, now 5 husbands. As we see this scene of her again, this time with more just these drum beats, and just this macabre, perverse ceremony of blood being poured over her as she stands there holding the blood axe, and her eyes are just glowing with this furious red. Next to her, almost as tall as she is, at 7 feet tall, is 14-year-old Vornushka. She has her own wickedly curved sword at her side. She is also being drenched in blood in this blood frenzy. And we see the other warriors all getting ready for this. Are you there in the tribe during this blood frenzy? Or where are you during the preparations for this raid?
As I see them all within a drunken like enthrallment with the blood ceremony, I slide down my goggles and I look at the blood axe, and I see the blood axe, and what I see is it looks like just trails of, like, if blood could be light, drawing towards this axe, almost infusing the axe and then infusing her with it. And I feel it and hear it in a very deep, low, rumbling feeling. And that feeling you get just before your fever breaks, but your fever is not quite broken, is what's going through my body. It's like this flash of heat. It's in between hot and cold as she is holding the axe, and this blood trails of energy is sliding towards the axe. And I know that I can see this through these goggles, but no one else sees what I see. And I walk up to the ceremony and I take one knee to my mother, and with my long hair that's kind of drenched in dreadlocks, and I say, I've scouted the encampment. They don't know we're coming. And yeah, I don't have any blood on me at this point.
As you see not only the blood through these goggles, these tendrils moving towards the axe, and your mother sort of taking in all of this energy, you see from her wisps of this energy with a different tone sort of sliding, and these tendrils that seem to almost move and weave across themselves, moving towards all of the warriors. And as you say this and you take this knee, your mother takes one of the gourds and pours the full amount of blood over top of your head, and you hear in your mind the this influence of the blood axe. And we cut to this tribe, this encampment miles away, the Bear Clan tribe, as your tribe moves quickly and confidently towards them.
In a way that I've never seen them run. They are running and they're leaping like, each step is they're bounding 6, 7, 8 feet per lunge. And some of them have taken to all fours and they're like running and they're jumping. And as they are running through the dark in the cover of night, strangely, they aren't making much noise at all as this horde is rolling towards this encampment. And feel the vigor from the blood inside of me, and I feel that energy. I am holding it at bay as if someone is trying to hold in a sneeze or a cough.
Make a wisdom saving throw. What is Vorn's usual wisdom?
Ooh, I have a 19. My usual wisdom is +1.
All right, we'll go ahead with that plus
12,
1.
and then I rolled a 19. So yeah.
So you basically get a dirty 20 on your wisdom. You feel the influence, but your love for Ysurla and concern for her and her people and your true desire to not want to see harm come to them is acting as a shield, keeping the full influence of the Blood Axe from taking control.
Yeah. And in one moment, I stop as the rest of the group kind of separates from me, and I'm alone in like this plain as they kind of descend down this hill to where the bear tribe is. I'm alone in this plain, and I can look out for a moment, and I see the star constellation that she points to. And for that moment, that star constellation, those stars specifically are brighter than all the other stars. They are pronounced in their illumination in the night.
And there's this sort of quiet serenity in this moment as you stare at this through your goggles. You just see the shining brilliance of these stars that form this constellation of Milakovic. And there's that winter stillness as the tribe is moving around you and still not making any sound. And you're looking up at these stars in this winter stillness, and it's suddenly shattered by the war cries of your tribe as they break the borders of the Bear Clan, and torches illuminate. And this is the influence of the Blood Axe as your mother, her eyes flaring red, and magically all of these torches that they carried with them illuminate, and they begin throwing them onto buildings and into the tents and the structures, and they're screaming and crying and are crying out their war cries as they charge in. And eventually, as we see this chaos erupting all over the place and you're standing there, battles begin to take place as your orc tribe does not find the elderly and the women and the children, the young people and the infirm to slaughter. They find empty structures. They find empty tents. And they find a whole lot of men and women, warriors, waiting in the center of town to meet their weapons. And pitched battle begins to take place all around. As you look around, as you're making sure that Ysurla was able and confirming that she was able to get the word out ahead, you see your sister Vornushka with her long it looks like a scimitar, but it's the size of a great sword, as she's literally cleaves a man in half. And she turns around before his pieces of his body even fall to the ground. She skewers a woman and lifts the blade up with the woman on the end of it, letting the blood just rain down on her. And you see as others in the tribe are fighting against other members, and in the center of all of this, with illuminated by fire, I just picture this cinematically as this camera seems to constantly be moving around and in through all of this, as Vornishka with the blood axe is in pitched battle with a human man with a bald head and a huge beard in braids. He has his is not wearing his cloaks, but he has a large warhammer in his hands, and his shoulders are bare, rippling with muscles, and he's holding his own against your mother. And you're watching as this fight is taking place between the two of them, and they're exchanging blows, and they're blocking one another. And you see the magic of the blood axe, this dark power infusing her. But you can see this furious rage within the chief of the Bear Clan, as at times you swear, as he roars, his face seems to momentarily take on the look of a bear. And there's this moment as you move around towards the outskirts of where this battle is happening, and the eyes of your mother seem to flash red for a moment, and then the flare disappears or dims, and she catches sight of you on the edge, on the north edge of town, as you've slowly made your way around to where you would need to go to make your way towards where Ysurla and the others are. She looks at you, and you just see that look of disappointment. And then you watch as the Bear Clan chief's warhammer slams into the side of her head. And you see her tusks go flying, and you see her jaw break. And you watch as that glow instantly just goes. And as your mother seems to just sort of already dead, you know she's dead already, falls to the ground, the blood axe spills from her hand and skitters along the ground and lands at your feet.
As I am in complete shock, and without thinking, without rationalizing, I pick up that blood axe, and when I pick it up, I feel it's like picking up a bundle of thorns, and I feel it pierce my hands, and it makes me angry, and it brings out the orc rage that burns in me, and I shout with rage, self-contempt, self-anger, and hatred. I feel infused. I feel 10 feet tall. I feel blood lusting. And I pick up this axe and I charge towards this man. And I pull the axe over to the side and I am screaming.
As you are charging toward him, he has this look with his eyes wide. And you see him drop his warhammer. And then you watch as his head falls sideways and collapses to the ground. And his body, now headless, falls to the other side. As behind him, holding this wicked curved greatsword, is Vornushka, your sister. And she swings this sword that she just beheaded the Bear Clan chief with, and meets the blood axe. I would like you to make a strength athletics check with advantage.
Bruh. 15. What's the advantage on that?
You just roll again and take the higher number.
16.
It's a dirty 20 from
Ooh.
Vornushka. You feel that feeling because I know I use this all the time, but I know as a child, as a kid, maybe even as an adult, you've taken a baseball bat and hit it against a telephone
that's
pole
exactly what I was thinking.
or a tree.
Yes.
You know what that feels
Yes,
like.
yes.
And
yes.
you feel that stinging reverberation in your hand as her sword clashes with the axe. And in that moment, she takes the great sword and she spins it around and hooks under the chin, the beard of the axe, and flips it up. And in her free hand, she reaches up and grabs the blood axe out of the air that she's just disarmed you with. And you watch as she takes hold of it. And through your goggles, you see those tendrils that are spilling like a dissipating mist from your mother's now lifeless body, coalescing around Vornushka's ankles and rising up into the blood axe and beginning to infuse her.
And as it's torn from my hands, it feels like I have been holding on to a barbed wire and it's pulling literal flesh. And for a moment, there are streaks of blood that connect my body to the axe, and they get ripped away as they get pulled away.
Good night.
And in that moment, as you stand there, in the flames next to your mother's dead body, your sister holding, at just 14 years old, claiming the blood axe. And you know, what you can see it very clearly, the blood axe has accepted her. You know that just like that, Vornushka is now the clan leader. The battles all around have stopped. There are some dead orcs, and there are many more dead Bear Clan members. And we watch as all of the other orcs, and you see this through your goggles, you see that the blood frenzy is wearing off. The influence of the axe is still there. But your sister holding the axe, she looks around at the others. Vornushka is dead. Vornushka has claimed the blood axe. I'm accepted by the axe. We are victorious today, but only by a little bit. Because my little brother warned the Bear Clan that we were coming. Because he has got himself a bear bitch. And she steps forward, just towering over you, looking down at you. Oh, big brother. You think I didn't know? I warned Mother that one day you would betray us. I should cut you down right here. And as she says this, she holds the blood axe, and you see the gathering of these tendrils. You see the rage of she may be a warrior, but she's still a teenager. And you see her wrestling with something. And then there's this sort of dissipation as her eyes flick over to your dead mother. Unlike you, Vornuk, I honor my oaths. My mother made me promise that I would not kill you. And I will honor that. But she did not tell me that I had to leave you unmarked. She takes the blood axe and she shifts her grip on it. And you now see her as she stands there. You get a glimpse of what your mother must have looked like as a young orc. Because Vornushka holds herself in the same way as your mother, and she holds the blood axe in the same way as your mother. She steps towards you. What do you have to say for yourself, traitor?
I can't make you understand. I'm not sure it's even worth it. I hold no shame. I lift my head up, looking at her.
That is where you are wrong, Vornuk. You may not feel shame, but from this day forward, all will know your shame. She makes a motion with the blood axe, and 3 of your mother's husbands, the other 2 are dead. 3 of them step forward and they grab hold of you. And they hold you down. As Vornushka pulls a blade from her belt. And she carves the orcish mark of shame into your forehead. Being sure to carve in a way that she's removing skin in the shape of these symbols to ensure that you will have a scar.
I hold direct eye contact with her as she does it.
All will know your shame. I fulfill my oath to Vorishka. After this day, if I ever see you again, I will kill you. She makes a motion, just a simple head nod, and the 3 orc warriors release you.
I look at the orcs, each of them. I see the tendrils are black and bloodish, and they're very slowly, they're not aggressive, but they are literally around everyone. And I turn my back on the tribe and I walk out of the gate of the entranceway of the slaughtered bear masses, and you know, and the burning huts and the ash in the air, and the stark moonlight. And I look up at the bear constellation, which is in front of me, and I walk out of the gate towards it, turning my back to the orc tribe.
As you look up at the constellation, thick smoke from the destroyed Bear Clan tribe billows through the night air. It obscures the constellation.
Yes.
As you reach the edge of the North Wood, you see in the snow where Ursula and all of the others that she helped to escape, where they were. Nobody is waiting for you in the North Wood. And that is where we are going to end this interlude. Oh my gosh.
You totally dunked on me. Wow. Wow.
Oh man. So, how do you feel?
Yeah, I'm gonna need this is the first time ever I'm gonna need a moment to process my gaming session. My goodness.
So, while Ricky's processing, as with all of these interludes and with all of the characters in this campaign, we have open communication. We talk about, what I don't dictate what these sessions are going to be. I've given each of them a chance to tell me what are some things you want to go over, what pieces of your backstory do we want to look at. And I'm not joking when I say that Ricky, I had to scroll multiple times on my phone to read everything Ricky sent. But I also told him that I was going to take all of that and work with it and reshape it and distill it into something that has the essence of those beats. And some of it were, I hope I hit those exact beats that you had wanted to hit on.
Bro, I gave you a lump of coal and you handed me back a diamond.
And this was a lot of fun because I had some ideas of how I wanted this to go, and I kind of, just like always, I set up the scene and then you take off with it and we just start riffing off of each other. And I appreciate you being able to go a little bit longer. I think you might beat Jordan by a few minutes for length.
This felt like 10 minutes.
I won't know until I edit it, but
wow.
But yeah, I had a blast with this. This, for the first time, we're seeing pieces of Vorn's history that we've never seen before. And didn't I tell you, I think before we started recording, I said my hope is that we'll bring to life pieces of your story that you had told me about, but I will also leave you with questions.
Yeah. I think this is the best movie I'm speechless. I don't know what to say. This is amazing.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Wow. This is great, man.
Oh, this was a lot of fun. I'm having a blast. This is our third one, and we are recording these in sequence. So you have just seen Interlude 3, Vorn, Sibling Arrival. And coming up next week will be Interlude 4, Doc, Man of Mystery, followed by the Mizya story, which is actually called Scribe and Scholar. And that will wrap up our interludes, and we will return with our campaign on January 10th in the new year. This was a blast, Ricky. I had a lot of fun with this, and I can't wait to see how this influences your portrayal of Vorn.
My goodness.
As we start to see more pieces of the backstory come out in the broader campaign. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. As always, we appreciate everybody who tunes in to hang out with us. We've no doubt been in chat this whole time, interacting, and I'm sure in particular Cari and Jordan and the others are exclaiming wildly in the chat at the revelations that happened tonight.
I'm exclaiming wildly. Jeez,
But yes,
I'm
as always, we appreciate all of you, and I just want to make sure to mention, if you have been watching, quietly lurking in the background this whole time, maybe chat just isn't your thing. Hey, we appreciate you all the same, and we hope you enjoyed this as well. And a huge thank you to you, Ricky, and all of the other players of this amazing campaign, without whom it would just be me talking to myself for a couple of hours. We're going to go ahead and we are going to end this stream the same way we end every stream. You can say it with me if you want.